All right, let's just jump right in. We're going to pull back the curtain on something called the subscription economy. And I want to show you this hidden, kind of constant drain on your money that honestly, you might not even know is happening.
I want you to think about something. Right now, there are these tiny, almost invisible pinholes in your budget. They seem harmless, right? Little monthly expenses. But over time, well, those little leaks start to drain away a shocking amount of your future wealth. Okay, look at this number, $1,440. What is that? Well, believe it or not, that's the real cost of just one of those cheap $12 a month subscriptions. We're not talking about a month, we're talking about over a decade. It's not just a few bucks, it's a huge chunk of money that could have been yours. So how does this trap even work? Because it is a trap, and it's designed to be totally invisible. It's this clever mix of psychology and some really simple math that, frankly, companies are betting you'll never bother to do. But stick with me, because by the end of this, you're going to see the whole system laid bare, and I'll show you exactly how to get out of it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to dive into the sneaky math they use, we'll uncover the psychological hacks that keep you hooked, and then, most importantly, we'll walk through the simple, practical steps to get your financial control back. Okay, so let's decode this thing. The whole subscription business model, the entire thing, really just boils down to one simple gap. The gap between how our brain sees a small monthly fee and what that fee actually costs us in the long run. It's like a little blind spot in our thinking, and wow, have companies turned that into a billion-dollar business model. And this right here, this shows that disconnect perfectly. On the one hand, your brain goes, 12 bucks, big deal. That's like 2 coffees. It feels like nothing, right? But then you look at the reality over a decade, and bam, $1,440. That's a serious amount of money. And that's exactly what they're banking on you not paying attention to. I mean, look at this chart. When you see it laid out like this, it's just so obvious. That little $12 bar, it seems so tiny, so manageable. But then it grows. Suddenly it's $144 for the year. And then, before you know it, it's ballooned into nearly $1,500 over a decade. It really is like a tiny drip turning into a massive flood.
So you gotta be asking, right? If the math is so simple, why do we all fall for it? I mean, it's not calculus. Well, the real reason this works so well has almost nothing to do with math and everything to do with psychology. It's about how our brains are hardwired. And let me be clear, this is not about you being bad with money or anything like that. Not at all. This is about very predictable, very human behaviors that companies have gotten incredibly good at exploiting. It's a hack, but they're hacking your brain, not your bank account, at least not directly. The main trick up their sleeve is something called inaction bias. It sounds complicated, but it's simple. We have a natural tendency to just do nothing, to stick with the default. And companies know this. They know that once you're signed up, the hassle of finding your password, logging in, clicking through 5 different menus to cancel, it feels like way more work than just letting it be. So your inaction literally becomes their profit. It's that simple. And this is the secret sauce. This is the bedrock of their whole business model. They are placing a bet that you'll just keep paying. Not because you're head over heels in love with the service, but just because it's easier not to cancel. It's like this silent contract that you never actually signed. Okay, so now that we know the trick, the sneaky math combined with our own inaction, let's apply it to some real-world examples. Let's look at a few common subscription types, and this is where the sheer scale of this wealth leak, well, it becomes pretty hard to ignore. Look at these numbers. $45 a month for all your streaming services. Doesn't sound crazy, right? But over 10 years, that's $5,400 gone. Or what about $30 a month for some software you barely use? That's $3,600. $25 for a bunch of mobile apps? $3,000. When you see it all laid out like this, those invisible leaks aren't so invisible anymore. They're adding up to a huge chunk of money that should be yours. Okay, but here's the good news, and it's really good news. You are absolutely not powerless here. In fact, plugging these leaks and taking back control is way easier than you think. You don't need some fancy spreadsheet or to be a financial genius. All it takes is one moment, just a single moment of deciding to take action. It's a simple 3-step plan. Step 1, investigate. Just pull up your last bank or credit card statement and make a list of every single subscription, every recurring payment. Step 2, calculate. Take that monthly cost and multiply it by 120. That number, that's its real 10-year cost. And then step 3, the most important one,
Eliminate. Look at that big 10-year number and just ask yourself one honest question. Would I pay this amount all at once, right now, for this service? And if the answer is anything but a screaming yes, you cancel it, right then and there.
At the end of the day, this whole system is designed to just run on autopilot, quietly siphoning your future wealth away. But now, you're in on the secret. You see the math. You get the psychology. So the only question left to ask yourself is this: how many of these invisible leaks are hiding in your budget right now?